Just want to say a quick hello to a regular viewer of mine, Tony Jones. Hi Tony, if you're watching. Tony and I were discussing Taiwanese records in the comments last week, and it just so happened that I had a Taiwanese record on the way, and it's just arrived this morning, so I'm going to open this up. What I can say is it's a copy of Blue Hawaii from Taiwan. Other than that, I know nothing about it. I don't know what the cover's like. I don't know if it's going to be one of these fancy coloured vinyl editions or not. But anyway, we'll take a look at it. And I've also got another couple of Taiwanese records that I haven't shown, which I've acquired in the past few months. And then in the second half of the video, we're going to be looking at something which I think shows that Elvis's music and Elvis's legacy, call it what you like, is still very much alive and kicking in 2023. Well, 2024 now. But we'll come to that in a few minutes. Let me just open this box and see what we've got in here. There we go. This one's not too excessively packaged. Japanese people do like to use a lot of packing materials. Sometimes they put things in plastic bags. Oh wow, this is really weird. Look at that, it's a 10-inch. I wonder if they've sent me the wrong thing. It does say Elvis Presley in Blue Hawaii. That's really strange. I wasn't expecting that. Wow. It's amazing. There's a little lyric sheet in there as well. It's got Kuipo, Ito each slice and stand. Yeah, it's got the lyrics to the songs there. And yeah, all the lyrics to the songs. There it goes on the floor. And yeah, there it is. It's Blue Hawaii. Wow, I've never seen that before. It's a 10-inch. I'm not expecting that. That's amazing. And it's got all 14 songs on there as well. Wow, I've never seen that before. Let's have a look at the cover. It's one of these generic covers that they used. There's a lot of these, a lot of different designs. It's the same on both sides, I think. Yeah, it's just got the text is slightly different. One side's got the address and whatnot. So there you go. Wow, that's amazing. Very, very surprised to see that one. I was very curious about what the cover would be like, but I certainly wasn't expecting it to be a 10-inch record. All right, okay, well, I'll join you again. I'll be back in a minute to show you the other two Taiwanese records that I've got. This first one I found in a record shop, and I was quite surprised when I picked this one up because it said that the artist was the Ray Conniff Singers. And when I got the record home and looked at the albums, it's a double album. I realized why, because on the labels of the first record there, you can see it says the best of Ray Conniff Singers, volume 39, and that volume 39 is reference to the series, and the series was called Monthly Star, I think. Those are all Elvis songs, as you can see from the label, and the record does play Elvis music. On the front there, it gives you Elvis's name, which is literally Cat King in Chinese. And then I think this means movie, these two smaller characters here. And then down there it tells you it includes all songs from the movie. So this must be the title of the movie, which could be That's the Way It Is in Chinese. There is the back cover. Most of the songs on disc 1, if not all the songs, were in That's the Way It Is. Although the selections are not the same, not entirely the same as the That's the Way It Is album. I'll get that a bit closer. Disc 2 is a more sort of random selection of earlier and later tunes. It's got the old Chinese sleeve notes there. It would exhaust me to try and read all that. There's some characters in Japanese that are the same as Chinese, so sometimes I can look at Chinese and make some sense of it. So for instance, the first part here, it tells you incorrectly that Elvis was born on January the 8th, 1933. But it would be a bit of a slog to sit down and try and make sense of all that. All right, and the second disc is this one here, and this one does say Elvis Presley on it. In fact, no, it doesn't. It says Elvis Presley on both labels. It's in nice condition. Sounds all right. It's listenable. And just show you the inside. It's just got lyrics on the inside. And I also picked up this one. I'm just covering the titles to see if you can have a guess what this is. It's a movie soundtrack. Completely different cover, obviously, to anything that was released in America or anywhere else. The picture of Elvis there is kind of a hint. It's more or less from that period. It is Fun in Acapulco. And the back cover is almost the same. These lyrics here are lifted straight from the Japanese back cover. And you get a lot of Taiwanese covers like this. It's actually just 2 sheets of paper, a little bit thicker than normal paper, but not exactly card. And then it's got plastic all around and inside to keep the 2 pieces of paper together. So if you ripped off the plastic, you'd just be left with 2 sheets of paper. So it's not really a cover in the normal sense. But this one does actually have very nice red vinyl. And this one was actually made using Japanese stampers. They are Victor stampers from December 1963, and they're quite early ones as well. So somehow the people in Taiwan, they got hold of these stampers, either legally or otherwise from someone at Victor. I have no idea. But it's not uncommon to find Japanese stampers used to make Taiwanese records. I mentioned at the start of the video that I'd received something recently which brought home to me how Elvis's music and legacy are still going strong, even, 46 years after he died. And that is this book here, Elvis, Day by Day 2023, The Year in Review, by Case Moen. And Case has very kindly signed it for me. There we go. And I was expecting, maybe 150, 200 page volume, but in actual fact, it's a really thick book. It's got a really nice surface on the cover here, very sort of velvety. I can't stop touching it. But the book itself is, going on for 500 pages, and it contains pretty much everything that happened in the Elvis world in 2023, from the obvious things like new FTD releases, LP releases, lots of bootleg releases in here as well, books, Blu-rays, and other stuff, right down to tiny little snippets of information about people who died, who once, played a minor role in one of Elvis's movies. The year got off to a tragic start last year, as you'll all remember, with the death of Lisa Marie. It does have a very nice tribute to her, discussing her life and her music. It then goes into a review of Harem Scarum, not just any old Harem Scarum album. This is apparently a 2 LP set on the Popcorn import record label, which I knew nothing about. In fact, I learned a lot of information in this book, and there's quite a few things I saw in here which I would quite like to get. Not least this book here, Fact versus Fiction in the 2022 Elvis Movie by Trina Young. It's a scene-by-scene analysis. I haven't actually seen the movie, and I'm not really interested in doing so, but I would be interested in reading this book, just to see how far the movie strayed from the truth in some scenes and how closely it stuck to the truth in other scenes. Not that I think that the movie should stick 100% to the truth all the time, but I'm just curious about this. And the book here, the review, it does actually go into one scene in particular, the 1956 Russwood Park show, and the book rates the movie in terms of its accuracy for the storyline, the time, the place, and the scene itself. So that's one that I'm going to be looking out for. Another one that I'm really interested in is another book, actually, 8mm Elvis, the story of Elvis on 8mm film. And it was written by a chap called Vince Wright, who says that basically he was waiting for someone to, he had a collection of these films and he was cataloguing all his information. He was waiting for someone to write a book about it. They never did, so he did it himself, which is great. In the review, it says that the author shows that he knows he's Elvis. Most of the chapter titles are song titles from Our Man. Very nice. And that's really important, I think, when you're getting books about Elvis. You want someone who knows about the guy, and you want someone who's interested in the guy. Which brings me on to something which really got on my nerves in this book. It's something that seemed to happen a lot at the end of 2023, and that's another good thing about this book. You can spot trends. Have a look at this here. It's called, just on the left side here, The Biography of Elvis Presley, Diamond Bouquet. And these are just announcements, by the way. They're not reviews. Author Diamond Bouquet published the 64-page AI-generated paperback, the biography of Elvis Presley. A 64-page biography of Elvis Presley. All that Elvis did in his life, and the best that they could do is 64 pages. And look at that picture there. That's not even Elvis. That looks like it's an AI-generated image as well. But imagine that. Imagine, have you ever heard anything so cynical? An AI-generated biography. All the great books that there are out there on Elvis, and some prat decides that they're going to sit down and get some information from an AI program and compile it into a book. And listen to this description here. Meticulously crafted biography. This meticulously crafted biography unveils the untold stories behind the king of rock and roll, from his humble beginnings in Tupelo to his meteoric rise to stardom. I mean, meticulously crafted and AI generated. That's an oxymoron, isn't it? And what about that? The untold stories. His humble beginnings in Tupelo. Oh yeah, that's untold. I mean, really, there are so many of these that came out, particularly at the end of the year. I mean, all fans will know to stay away from this. But I just feel sorry for people that, unknowingly buy crap like this. I bet you just, as a fan, you wouldn't learn anything about Elvis from reading this rubbish. And another thing that I saw in here that that really browned me off, while I'm having a bit of a rant here, it's an article that appeared in Rolling Stone magazine, and it listed top 50 of the genuinely horrible albums by brilliant artists. So you get the idea. Great artists and their worst album. So it features Bob Dylan, John Lennon, Elvis, Madonna, and Prince, and so on. So can you guess what Rolling Stone, in their wisdom, decided Elvis's worst album was? Now, it wasn't Elvis. It wasn't Having Fun with Elvis on Stage. It was Fun in Acapulco. And here's what they say. Here's the reasoning for that. In 1963, Meet the Beatles, Freewheeling Bob Dylan, and the first couple of Rolling Stones singles came out. Elvis was down in Acapulco filming yet another movie, Fun in Acapulco. So you can see what they're doing here. What they've basically done is they're taking a period when Bob Dylan and the Beatles and the Stones have just come along, and they've said, right, what was Elvis doing at that time? Fun in Acapulco? All right, that'll do. That's his worst album. It even goes on to say, many true Elvis aficionados point to this album as being his worst, and with good reason. I don't know anyone who thinks that Fun in Acapulco is Elvis's worst album. So they're just basically saying that because it fits the narrative of this little article that they've come up with. So that really browned me off. So anyway, there was some good stuff. There was some other good stuff in here. Auctions. There were quite a lot of auctions in 2023. Elvis's Hagstrom guitar, the one that he played in the 1968 TV special. Actually, it wasn't his guitar, was it? He borrowed it, didn't he? That was auctioned, but I believe the book said it didn't sell. There was also a revolver that Elvis owned, a gun that sold for an awful lot of money. On this particular page here, it's got 3 other items: guitars, a ring, And the one that caught my attention, the one that caught my fancy, was this pair of boots here. It says it's a stage one owned, Elvis stage one owned and personally worn Florsheim black patent leather boots. He gave them to Charlie Hodge, and the estimate was $5,000 to $7,500. Can you guess how much they sold for? $2,750, which is actually a good price. I think I might have had a bid on that myself had I known. You win those boots, you could literally walk a mile in Elvis's shoes. At the end of the book, they have a top 10 of 2023. Now, can you guess what the top item of 2023 was, according to the people at Elvis Day by Day? It was from Elvis in Memphis, Ultra Disc One Step box set, SACD, the one that you see there on the right. My own humble offering is in there in the top 10, and on the right side of this page here, they've also included another several other items which are less expensive. Most of the ones in the top 10 are quite expensive, actually. And in fact, I'm not the only YouTuber in this book. The only other YouTuber who could be in here, it had to be Mr. Ed Hess. Here he is. And you can read all about his the problems that he had with his mother's cassette recordings, and how apparently somebody ripped them off and sold them for $50 each. I don't think Ed will be too pleased to see that, but he's in here, and he's in here twice. He's got 2 pictures in here. And if we go to the end of the year, the last thing that happened, or one of the last things that happened last year, was not good if you like Elvis to have all these records, as in history-making records, because, in fact, I think actually, speaking of Ed, I think he mentioned this on one of his videos recently. It says Taylor Swift has broken Elvis's long-standing record for the most weeks spent atop the Billboard 200 album chart by a solo artist. Elvis spent 67 weeks at #1 on the Billboard album charts, and Swift now has 68 weeks. It could be more, of course, since then. But in actual fact, there's another record that Elvis lost in 2023, and he lost it to Barry Manilow. So any idea what that record was? Record broken by Barry Manilow. Just trying to find the page here. Here he is. Here's old Barry down here. And apparently Barry Manilow has beaten Elvis Presley's record for the most performances in Las Vegas with his 637th show at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Elvis did 636 performances at the Las Vegas Hilton. Manilow's residency is in the same theater, though the property is now called the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. So that's the kind of information that you get in here. And I think to sum it up, really, I should use the author's own words to sum up this book. There's a nice review of Elvis Beyond RCA, Elvis UK Beyond RCA, the latest book from the Elvis UK guys. But in the conclusion here, it says, where the blog, or where blogs work well for sharing news and reviews on new releases nearly at real time, it's physical format, like this book here, that really allows you to take in the events of the year as a whole and reviews of various releases. I think that really nicely sums up what this book is all about. It really does put it all in perspective when you see it all in a big thick book like this. So yeah, if you're interested in getting this, I'll leave a link in the video description below. But I think that's it for this week. If you have any questions, as ever, just drop them in the comment section below. And see you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. The Year in Review by Case Moen. And this was actually sent to me, and Case has actually kindly signed it to me somewhere. Maybe he hasn't signed it. Maybe I imagined it. Oh, there it is. Absolutely tons of information. So I want to just scratch my mustache and then tell you a little bit about what's in here.